Sensationally silver, because you are.
Welcome, everyone, to Sensationally Silver, A State of Mind, conversations with extraordinary, ordinary persons of age, people who are going to bring you information, inspiration, and validation. Join us. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sensationally Silver, A State of Mind, conversations with extraordinary, ordinary persons of age. And today, our guest is Allison McCune Davis, and she's been a former guest. I asked her back because what Allison is going to teach us to do is get rid of a habit we want to get rid of and substitute something better that's going to make our life better. Right, Allison? That's what
Yes,
you say?
yes, ma'am. Happy
Okay.
to be back.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad you are back. And why don't you just give us a brief review of what you already told us about your book, 60 is a Good Start, having to do with the words, the idea of being 60 and 60 days. And
Yes.
then tell us what we're going to do together. Okay.
Okay. So, yes, the title is 60 is a good start, has a double meaning. So, 60, because when I turned 60, I kind of freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 60. I'm, 10 years from 70, 20 years from 80. And I was just asking those big questions. What am I doing with my life? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Or, those decade birthdays kind of always prompted me with those questions. Maybe that's common. But I was also very restless. I'd been teaching women about natural health for the prior decade and loved that and still love that. But I still, I don't know, I was just like, I knew there was something different because of that restless feeling that I wanted to, have that feeling of when I woke up, I was excited, I was going to sink my teeth into whatever it was that day, but something that was going to take me for like the next 5 to 10 years, and not just right then. So I was kind of on that search for what that was, and ended up 7 months later deciding to write the book. And you can listen to our other podcast to hear all those details. But also, and the book is sort of combining natural health ideas, but also longevity studies. I'm fascinated with that. And so, not just the blue zones, but Harvard studies and cancer studies in that area. And they all kind of come together with those same lifestyle habits that we should have. And funny enough, they're sort of the habits for a good life. And so, the other meaning of the title 60 is a good start is 60 days is a good start. And the reason for that is because the neuroscientists tell us, and Dr. Caroline Leaf in particular, when you look in the microscope at the nerve cells in the brain, you can see habit formation. And it's also long-term memory. So to form habits, we have to create long-term memory. And so they see that formation in the nerve cells, and it's at least 60 days. Could be up to 8 months. Depends on the person, depends on the habit, but it's somewhere in there. So 60 days is a good start. So, all of this information, I was like, well, I can just put it out there, but we need a plan to execute on creating these new habits that we know we all really want, I think, deep down, but it's just hard. And, we look at like New Year's statistics, and people just fall off after a few weeks. They say, I'm going to do this, and then, it just doesn't happen. So what I've created is a plan and a system to create those new habits that we want in the areas of the physical, I call it body work, the mental, emotional, spiritual, I call it brain work, and our purpose and our relationships, I call that world work. Because all those longevity studies, what they all had in common fall into those three categories. So we can look at our life and do a little assessment of, what do we need? There's a planner that goes with the book, and there's an assessment area in the beginning. It takes like a minute to fill out. It's 14 areas of your life, your physical health, your mental, your emotional, and you can go through there and just 1 to 10. Where is it? Is it not good? Is it doing just fine? Where would you assess that area of your life? And that really, because if you're like, I don't know what I need to do better. Yes. But
Well, Allison, we all have something that we wish we could
yes.
change. And what occurs to me with your workbook, and I love the title, hold it up so people can see it. It's Reignite. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, the 60-day dare.
Yes, and
What?
right now, just so we know, it comes like this from Amazon. I like to go get things spiral bound. So currently it's not available spiral bound, but you can just take it to your local printer and they'll do that for a few dollars.
And make it even more of a workbook.
Yes, yes.
Here's the thing, when we're trying to change something, a habit, I'll give you an example. Say someone is very overweight and she's got a friend who's very overweight. So they say together,
Mhm,
let's go on a diet. We'll help each other.
mhm.
But what I know from having been a therapist in the field of addiction is that pretty soon they're going to make a deal with each other that they're going to go out to lunch and celebrate how much weight they've lost.
Right.
And they fall off the wagon,
Yeah,
whatever that wagon is, weight
yeah,
loss, whatever.
yeah, yeah.
So when you've got that workbook of Allison's, it's like she's holding your hand and
Mhm.
she's guiding you through things, and she's not going to sabotage you. She's
Right.
not going to collude with you to go backward. She's going to help you take the next step that'll keep you right on that path for that 60-day dare, right?
Yes, exactly. And because we need that. These things are not easy because our modern environment does not set us up for this, unlike environments, for instance, in the blue zones that do. So, and it's modernity. Okay, well, we're all dealing with it, so we have to find a way. Now, there's multiple ways to engage in this 60-day dare. You can do it with some friends, but you've got to make sure those friends are not going to flake out, because what you said is exactly right. And that goes to that concept of we are the 5 people we hang out with. Right? So make sure if that's what you're going to do, make sure you're connecting with someone who's already maybe good at the thing that you're struggling with, right? And maybe they're going to do a different habit or something. Who knows? But you can also do it with our online group, which that's what we have there for people that either don't have friends they want to do it with, or your friends and you could do it with us. So that accountability is critical. It is critical. There is the rare person that can do it on their own, but I think they're rare. And I'm sure you've seen that, haven't you? And you're,
It is hard.
yeah.
And the more entrenched the habit is, the harder it's going to be.
Oh,
So
yes.
we,
It's a
we need a
lifetime.
mentor. And that's what you're offering us. You're
Yes.
offering us that
Yes.
mentoring.
Yes. Yes. So anyway, you're going to assess what do you need? Do you need something in the physical area? Well, I kind of like it if someone ideally chooses something, one thing from each category, but that doesn't have to be that way. For instance, the last time around, I chose 2 things from the bodywork category. What was really hard for me was eating enough protein. And in midlife, well, at any time, we need good protein in our body to build muscle, but it is critical at the midlife point and beyond. And I saw that with my mother, which I mentioned the last time we were together, but we've got to have muscle to keep mobility, and to build muscle we have to have protein. So like that I needed to do better in that area. So that's really helped me. We're in between 60-day dares right now as we're filming this, and so I'm happy to say I'm still doing my 30 grams of protein every day, but I'm going to keep it on the next one, just to like really make it stick. But so anyway, you're going to just assess what do you need to do, and let's just take a habit, for instance. I've had people say, well, if someone's just starting out in all of this, what are some habits that could make a real difference pretty quickly? And the two I always go to are drinking enough water and moving your body. Because, what this the framework for the book is called the self-perpetuating circle of purpose with the three pillars on the circle. And they all lead to each other. So if you're wanting to fulfill your purpose in the world, well, you got to feel good to do it. Your body's just got to you got to have the energy to do it. And so let's just talk about the body work section, the physical section, and let's just take water. I mean, so here's my water bottle. I know I have to drink at least half my body weight in ounces a day, at least for the minimal amount of water to keep my body hydrated. We know also that there's a majority of ER visits are solved with hydration. Like people just don't drink enough water. They don't feel thirsty because they are drinking coffee. I love coffee, don't get me wrong, or soda or juice or just, not water. And I love to think of I was there. I definitely was a person that did not drink enough water. I had to do what we're doing here to make myself drink enough water. And I had to find what are those little tricks that are going to get me to drink enough water.
When I knew a chiropractor here in town who was very, very good, she would say about all those other things. People would say, well, I drink this and I drink that.
Yeah.
She'd say, only water does what
Yeah.
water does.
Yes.
And I've always kept that thought. Only
Yeah.
water does what water does. Everything else needs to be processed.
Yeah. Well, we're 70% water. Our bodies are 70% water. I mean, just right there. So our organs need, what helps me is to, and I learned this kind of in my naturopath studies, was to think about the organs in our body, our veins and our arteries, and those need to remain supple and wet, and like think about our heart or our liver. Is juice or Coke gonna no, they need the water. They need to, have that. And our skin, our skin needs water. But so, okay, so let's just talk about what are some of the tricks to drinking enough water. Well, I believe we have to have water with us at all times. And people kind of joke about that. Oh, everybody's got a water bottle. Do you really have to carry a water bottle around all the time? Well, okay, let's just go back to the fact that in our modern society, we move so fast, much faster than, let's say, 200 years ago. They maybe worked really hard. Yeah, they did on the farm and all that, but they weren't just charging through life in their cars. And you know what I'm saying? And so we do need, if you want to drink enough water, you better keep it with you. So, like, for instance, I have two of these. They're stainless steel water bottle. I can refill them all the time. And every day I've got them ready with water in them. I have one with me. So, like, it's at my bedside table when I go to bed and when I wake up. And then the other one is usually on my entry table to my house. So, as I'm just moving through the house and I am here most of the time. So, think about where do you live most of the time? Is it in an office? Is it in your home, in your car? So I'm just always having those ready. And whenever one's empty, it makes its way to the kitchen. I also, in my pantry, I keep a set of plastic water bottles. I know that's not great for the environment, but just in case. So there are times when, oh my gosh, I got to run out the door right now and my water bottles are not full and I'm going to grab one of those. That doesn't happen very often, but it's there. It's available for me just in case.
So you have a backup plan.
I have a backup plan, right? So we have to, have these plans. Okay, then when can I drink the most water, like in one sitting? Because it's really ideal if you're just sort of drinking a little water all day long, right? Your body can only maybe take in and absorb so much at a time. Like you're not going to drink a gallon of water in one sitting. So first thing in the morning, that's the time when you can really drink a lot of water. And that's why I have it on my bedside table. I wake up and I really do because we're dehydrated. But I mean, there are people, lots of people. I used to do this the first thing I drank was coffee in the morning. And it's just our body needs that water. We are dehydrated when we wake up in the morning. And once you start doing that, this is the other thing that happens. Once you get like about not long, I'm going to say two, maybe 3 days of drinking enough water, all of a sudden your body wants that water. It's like that supply and demand concept. The more you drink it, the more you want to drink it. And it's just a habit again that we're trying to create. But on each of these habits, you got to think about what are the little things that I can do to make this work for myself. And we want to remember that concept of environment triggers behavior. So, right, I've set my environment up with my water bottles in certain places. I used to have 3 different water bottles that were a little bit smaller than this one, and I would fill all of those up. So kind of 3 points in the day. So whatever works. If it's 3, if it's 4, if it's, you need to put a water bottle in 4 different spots, then do that. If you want to put a water bottle in your car and just leave it there, like not a plastic one, but a stainless steel one, it'll be good overnight because of it's insulated. But do whatever it will take, set up your environment however you can to be able to have that water available and drink it.
So you're helping people train themselves,
Yes.
helping us train ourselves. Let's put it that way. To be far more conscious about what's good for us, not just to drift through the day,
Right.
but to spend some energy throughout the day taking care of ourselves. So not only does the physical habit change, but the mental habit changes.
Definitely mental. It requires intention. It just requires, the older we get, the more we realize our health requires intention and attention and time. Now, a lot of these things that I'm talking about in these different habits, whether it's how you're eating or drinking water or adding some movement to your day or maybe journaling or reading or something, these don't take that long. They really don't have to take that long, but they do take the intention and the planning. And so, sometimes depending on what the thing is, it's like put some post-it notes up. Like I've multiple times in my life put a post-it note up on my computer, on my makeup mirror, on the kitchen cabinet or the fridge or, where I'm going to see it to remind me of whatever the thing I want to be reminded of is. So those are really important, it's setting up that environment to be successful.
I like that we're starting with 2 things that don't require us to undergo deprivation.
Yeah.
Because that's what we think about when we think about changing. Oh, I can't whatever anymore.
Right. Do without this or
Yeah,
that.
I can't do
Yes.
dessert anymore or
Yeah.
what. But
Yeah.
you're adding the water, you're adding the body movement. Those are painless
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't start with something, or maybe don't start with something that makes you feel that way, that makes you feel deprived or like, I don't know if I can do that. You are going to design your 60-day dare for success. So what does that look like? We all have these thresholds and we hit these thresholds just whenever we hit them. To me, it's just like, okay, I hit it today. The threshold of, oh my gosh, I am going to drink my water. I am starting today and I'm going to do it. Well, I may not be at the threshold of, I'm not going to eat any sugar for the next 60 days. I may not be there. That's okay. I'm all about baby steps. We're baby stepping our way to a better life, a longer life, a healthier life, a life full of purpose for, what we were brought here for. And that could be one person or it could be many people, just, whatever it is. But
So we're setting ourselves up to succeed, and we're also setting ourselves up to introduce into our life a habit of self-awareness and a habit of self-care.
yes.
And sometimes we think of self-care as like a bubble bath or whatever, but these are such practical things.
Mm-hmm.
Such
Mm-hmm.
practical. And then the habit of taking care of ourselves I imagine it gets easier when you do take on maybe the sugar, something that
Right. Sure.
eventually going to feel like deprivation. I can do this. I did
Yes.
it with this. I did it with this. I can do this.
And maybe you, if it's, let's say it's a sugar thing, maybe, and then let's say maybe you have a favorite sugar thing that you like ice cream. That would probably be mine. So maybe I say I'm not going to have any ice cream or frozen yogurt or anything like that for 60 days. But I could have something different. Maybe this other sugar thing, it's not really my thing. I mean, I like it, but ice cream's my big, do you see what I'm saying? Like maybe you do that baby step before you get to the whole step of sugar in general and
Make
see
it
how that.
easy on ourselves, right?
Yeah, well, we're not there has to be we're not going to do it if it's not. This goes back to that Atomic Habits book, that I'm sure you know about that book by James Clear. About he just is such a deep dive into habits, and he says make it obvious. Well, that's going to be like the environment triggers your behavior. Make it satisfying, make it just like it has to be some positive things about it. So, I mean, that just to me goes to we got to baby step our way there. If we're trying to set ourselves up for success. What do I think I can do for 60 days? Who do I want to be a year from now? We got to start there. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be now? Who do I want to be a year from now? Who do I want to be 5 years from now? Like, who do I want to be physically? Do I want to be fit? Who do I want to be for my family? Who do I want to, what example do I want to set for my kids or my grandkids? Or, do I want to be here for them? I mean, in the long run, these kinds of questions. And so, well, okay, what's our answer to that? And then the realization that our future, I'll say this again from last time, is hidden in our daily routine. So that person we want to be, we have to identify that. And then, you know, back to the concept of keeping a promise to ourselves. We do it for others pretty easily, but to keep that promise to ourselves daily, I'm going to do this every day. That's a big deal. And we tend to not do that, but we need to do that because it's out of our abundance that we can flow on to other people and help other people.
And paying attention to every time we succeed at this, because that's succeeding builds success in the future, I would imagine.
Yes, yes,
It's good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the water one. If we want to talk about the move your body one, so let's think about somebody that, well, and by the way, back to just a person that maybe wants to lose weight, having a lot of water is a key factor in losing weight. So it's amazing to me when just I've gone over the years and yeah, this is just a fact and people talk about it. When you start drinking a lot of water, the weight starts coming off a little easier.
I've
So
heard that the best diet aid is drinking water
yeah,
because you
it
get a sense
really
of
is.
fullness. And
Hmm.
instead of that, oh, I need something, I need something.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
fullness is good for us.
Hmm.
Okay.
So then moving the body, so let's say somebody who's just sedentary and they don't exercise. I mean, I was there. It's I didn't decide to get consistent about this until I was 55. And that was so I'm 64. That's nine years ago. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's too late. And I'd been raising five kids and homeschooling and I would like be like, okay, I'm gonna exercise, and I'd exercise for a week, and then I wouldn't for 6 months or a year, and it just was back and forth like that, and not at all consistent. And finally, I was like, okay, if I don't get on top of this, I'm not gonna be here, for my future, my kids' future, and all of that. So I definitely understand this. But for the person that let's just say is sedentary, doesn't think they can go walk for 45 minutes, the two things that I really want to stress at this age is walking and strength training. So what do you think you can accomplish in this? Well, the first thing I want you to do is think, what can I do every day? What can I do every day? And we're going to decide that, and then but it can be different every day. So, for instance, for me, I'm strength training Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm doing Pilates Tuesday, Thursday. Well, if I'm out of town, for instance, on our next 60-day dare, which we're starting in less than a week, I realize I am going to be out of town 5 times during that 60-day day, or five kind of long weekends. And so I've got to figure out, what am I going to do while I'm gone? Because even some of those weeks I'll be gone, like the Thursday and the Friday, so I won't be at those workouts. So I'll be doing something. So I've got to figure out, what is that something going to be? It's probably going to be a combination of walking and like yoga, stretching type stuff. So, but let's just say let's just talk about walking, because that's really the easiest thing we can do. Everybody can walk, hopefully.
And one of the best exercises there is.
Yes, absolutely. One of the best. And and that's what the people in the blue zones are doing. They're just walking. They're not at a gym lifting weights. Um, and so back to environment triggers behavior. The first thing I want to say is your tennis shoes, you need tennis shoes. Your tennis shoes need to be out and visible. So they cannot be hidden in the closet. They have got to be out where you can see them. I would say when you wake up in the morning, you wake up, you're going about getting dressed, and or maybe you go to work and then you come home. But they still need to be out, ready for you when you're there. And so I like to say, just lace up your shoes. Just lace up your shoes. Get them on. And once they're on, you're that much closer to walking out the door.
It's like your tennis shoes are a post-it for
Yes,
getting
they,
into
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then once you walk out the door into the beautiful sunlight, or, whatever the weather is, you walk down the street, and maybe if you're saying to yourself, I can do a little bit, then I would say, walk to the end of the block and back every day. Just walk to the end of the block and back. Now, if you get out there and you can walk further and you want to walk further, then walk further. But if you're saying, the question you have to answer is, what can I do? What can I be successful at for 60 days in a row? Can you put your tennis shoes on, lace them up, walk out the door, and walk to the stop sign and back? I think so. I think most people could do that, right?
Okay.
Um, and so if you want to write that down as what you're going to do for 60 days, beautiful. That's perfect. When you're out there, if you can walk around the block, or for 10 minutes, or for 20 minutes on that particular day, do it. If it feels good out there, the weather's beautiful, you're enjoying yourself, then do it. That's a beautiful thing. And just sort of see what happens. But at the very least, so what's the very least you're going to do? The very least is going to be, I'm going to put my tennis shoes on, I'm going to walk out the door, and I'm going to walk to the stop sign and back.
Years ago, I interviewed a woman who was aimed toward the Olympics, and she may have been a triathlete. It's so many years ago, I don't remember. But she said that her meditation for each event was putting her shoes on, because each event required different shoes. And when she took off the one pair and she put the next pair on, she would just be tuning up to go do her best at that. And so between the post-it and the mental change, putting my shoes on, I'm getting ready to walk. And yeah. I'm getting ready to get better, improve myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
That putting the tennis shoes on does something to you mentally. That's what you're saying. I love that.
So when the 60 days are over, I know that isn't the end. That's just the beginning, right?
That's right. Yes. And so it's really interesting. Like we've had a 3-week break from the last 60-day dare we did in the group to the one we're about to start. And so that's a real interesting time to see what happens, to assess what am I doing in that 3-week break? Am I still eating the 30 grams of protein? Am I still walking to the stop sign and back? with hopefully the plan of engaging in the next 60-day dare. Maybe you're going to continue doing that same thing because maybe, let's say, maybe you just stop doing that for those 3 weeks that were in between. Then you're like, okay, yeah, I've got to do another 60-day dare of that thing because it just obviously didn't stick. But if it did, and for me, back to that 30 grams of protein, it's sticking in these 3 weeks. I've still done it, but I am still going to do it for my next one too, with some other things. But that's definitely, I'm going to write that down. I mean, that's going to be because I want to really cinch that habit. I want to solidify that, for long term. And so, but it may not have been. It could have just as easily. I was like, oh, I can't wait to eat this thing that I haven't let myself eat in the morning. But that didn't happen. But it could have happened. It could have easily happened. So I'm not saying I'm so great at anything. I mean, it's just the way it is. We're all different. These habits, however they became habits, are not necessarily easy to change. So yeah, it's great to see in the break what's happening. How am I changing? How am I reacting? What am I doing different or the same or whatever? And then be ready to get into it again, maybe for something different,
You
you
know,
know?
it occurs to me, Allison, that one of the things that changes in this process is because we're talking about replacing something that isn't good with something that is healthful.
Hmm.
Okay, so all of us know all about being self-critical. I'm too fat. I'm too this. I'm too
Totally.
lazy. I'm too whatever. I
Yes.
don't do this enough. All that stuff that is so automatic and that is really hard to shut off. With this process that you're describing, we get to say, I've done this.
Hmm.
I've done this for
Oh
this
yeah,
60 days. And now
that's a
I
big
can not
deal.
only continue, but I can add something on because I know I'm good at this. So it's really changing that habit of negative thinking into a self rewarding way of thinking, believing that we're worth it,
Hmm.
knowing that we can accomplish it. So before we stop for today, because we're going to run out of time in a minute, Allison, go through what you're offering. There's your book, there's the workbook, and there's the group that meets
Yes.
online.
Hmm.
So tell us about each one of those briefly so that everybody knows how to get all the help they
Yeah, well,
want.
the books are available anywhere, Amazon, Barnes& Noble, wherever you get your books. You can go to my website, my name, AllisonMcCuneDavis.com/links, and that will take you to links to everything, links to the 60-day dare, which is also on the menu. You can see that on my website. You can also message me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, so I can give you the link there if you forget where to go. But there's a free PDF there of my favorite supplements and practices to keep my immune system boosted. A lot of stuff. So definitely /links, go there. But yes, there's the workbook, which some people like a digital planner, some people like a paper planner. I like a combination of both. So, I want to be planning my year, planning my months, my like 3 months that the 60-day dare could go over. Kind of big picture. Where am I going to be out of town? Where do I have to consider how to do these things? There's also a weekly planning section in the planner. Like I like Sundays. I want to plan my week. You know, also, what am I doing for restoring myself? What do I need for the dinners that I have to make this week? So it's a great planning tool for your week. And then the daily planner, of course, is in there too, where you can check off. I did my body work, my brain work, my world work. It's got several check marks for each one. It's a great planner. I really like it. It's a nice size. You can carry it with you easily if you want to. And then the online program is where we have 3 levels. One is just the community where uh, we have a post every day and people can comment on it, and so you can get to know people in there. The membership thing's really cool, where the more you put in your profile, the more it can tell you, oh, so and so's from your state. Or just some similarities. Oh, so and so's in real estate too. So that's pretty cool. And then we have a weekly accountability Zoom call that you can be join in where we're just get together and we're just like, how's it going? What's going good? What's not going so good? How can we help each other? And just get to talk and meet each other and have a community. And then there's a little tracking system in there too, where you can click digitally. I've done my body work, brain work, world work. So there's all kinds of opportunities to get together, to be accountable, to just, and it's its own separate app on your phone or on your desktop. So because I'm like, we could be in Facebook, but I know I get into Facebook and then there's like 1,000 things, you know, pulling at you and distracting you. So I think this is so important. It should have its own little spot on your phone, on your main page of your little icons, and you just go in there every day. There's some gamification like streaks, that you can go in and it shows how many days you've gone in there. So making it a little more good job type stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So, Allison, I want to do this one more time if you're willing.
Okay.
And next time, I would like us to concentrate on the world work part
Okay.
because it's both subtler and, in my opinion, it's more important than anything.
Yeah, it's what the ultimate thing we're going for is. Yes.
Yeah. So Allison's going to come back
Yeah,
and
I'd
give
love
us
to.
more wonderful information about how to make this time of life the best ever. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so join us again. And thank you, Allison, so, so much for being my guest this morning, for talking to everybody that's listening. And we'll see you all soon. Bye. Sensationally Silver, A State of Mind, is sponsored by Sensationally Silver, a complete hair care product line created especially for people with hair like ours, naturally gray and white hair. Sensationally Silver products can be found exclusively at sensationallysilver.com.